Hello and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today we talk about from childhood into teenagehood. I still remember the day I got my first period. Do you remember that? Mine was so dramatic. Or maybe so confusing. Not cinematic, just confusing. Maybe a little scary too. Well, hi, I'm Lydia. On this channel, I share real life stories and practical tools for navigating life's transitions because change is inevitable. And so none of us have to feel alone while we grow. Well, no one had prepared me. I don't know about your situation, but no one prepared me for periods. No one had the conversation with me of what to expect, how this is gonna be, and how things are gonna pan out. So when it happened, I remember feeling very embarrassed, checking constantly and hoping no one noticed. It felt like my body changed overnight, but my mind hadn't caught up yet. That is the irony about it. Looking back now, I realized something. That was actually my first transition that I remember, not as a child. Your body changes first, and then your identity catches up later. But there's a gap, and that's where confusion lives for so many of us. Now, this is what happened. So, we were on break, and I remember vividly it was the second term of my first year in high school. So I was in Form 1, that's what we call it in Kenya. And we had ended our second term and we went back home. That day we went to church. It was a Saturday. We went to church. It was August. Oh man, some things you just don't forget. It was an August evening. We went to church. As usual, we were there morning and we had our cold lunch at church, but there afternoon as well. And I left after we had had our youth program and got back home with my friends. On our way, we were playing, we were fooling around, and I fell and scratched my knee, and it was bleeding. Not a lot, just a little bit. But then some blood went onto my dress. I remember it was black and white dress. How vivid. So, my friend after church, she asks me, because she was helping me with my knee, there was another blood stain down on my almost hem behind me. And so she asks, what happened here? Why are you bleeding? Why do you have blood at the back of your dress too? And I said, well, I just fell. And you're literally helping me with my, wound or something. And she's like, but you fell and it was on the front. How come that one is at the back? And I was so dismissive. I was like, yeah, like you're just being petty. Leave me alone. Let's focus on this. Let's finish it and move on. So I go home and life just moves on, like nothing happened. It didn't hit my mind at all. There was nothing I was feeling that was different. So I'm still in the same dress. My mom comes back from church later on. She stayed probably till 7-8 p.m. She comes back and I think I'm serving her dinner. And as I walk away, she sees the red stain. And she asks me, what's that on the dress? Why is your dress, why do you have blood on your dress? And I said, Mom, I fell. we were coming from church and we were just playing, and I fell and I scraped my knee. And yeah. And she was like, that doesn't look like blood from a fall. Still, my brain doesn't figure whatever it is. And so that night as I go to take a shower, that's when I see that's when I come face to face with the monster. Oh my God. And I'm wondering to myself, am I sick? I knew some of my friends already had their periods. I was in boarding school. I mean, I saw stuff. But still, my brain just was not there. And so I'm thinking, I must be sick. Something must be wrong. So I'm even afraid to go back to mom because I just dismissed her, told her I fell. I don't know how to start the whole conversation again that it might not be the fall. Confusion, worry, loss, everything in between. So I gather up the courage and I go and say, Mom, I think I might be sick in a different way. I fell, but as I was showering, there was more blood. And she says, oh, I think you reached your days. That's the description I got. And I was given some money to go and buy what I needed. Pads. So I go to the shop and I don't even know what to ask for. I just say, I need something for girls. And guess what? The shopkeeper was a man. An old one for that matter. Oh my God, the trauma. And he's like, what is for girls? And I say, those things girls use. And I think probably he's had kids, maybe grandkids, and he's like, he hands me something and I give him money, he gives me some change, and I'm going home. I give my mom that, and I try to figure what is this about, and I somehow get it on. Now that was my transition. I don't know yours, but mine lives with me today. If you're raising girls, whether you're a man here or you're a woman here, or if you're a girl, any child approaching that age, please talk about it before it happens. Please tell them what to expect. This is what I did with mine, because I was determined that was not going to happen to my girl. I have 2 girls. So when they get to about 6 years old, I give them this book. Now they already know how to read. I'm not promoting any book. I'm just saying what I have used, because I feel like I need to support my children through their life transitions for them to be as smooth as possible. The book of my body. And there's boys and there's girls. So I've bought them. I have 1 boy and 2 girls. So I've bought each of them those books. And I acknowledge that those conversations might be hard to start. Well, especially coming from some cultures like ours where some of these conversations are never had. So I say, here is something I want you to read. It starts slowly. And I want you to tell me what you read. It's also about taking care of your body, how to keep it clean, how to notice some changes, and how to talk about anything. So it helps both of you. I was transitioning with them because I would now then become a mother of someone who has periods, and how would I then talk to them about it so that we feel like it's normal? What I'm trying to say here is, let's normalize these conversations. Make it boring and safe and ordinary. Make it like something that people just talk about, because silence turns something natural into something shameful or something difficult to deal with. You might say something like, this is normal. Your body is strong. And I'm here if you ever feel unsure of anything, and if you have any questions. I assure you, those small conversations build trust that lasts into the teenage years. I now have a teenager who is a boy, and that's yet another transition. I will talk about it later. Please normalize our conversations. Today is particularly about periods and that transition that, life has just happened. But what do? Becoming a woman isn't one big moment. It's a series of tiny, quiet transitions. And we deserve gentleness through all of them. If this story resonated, subscribe and come back tomorrow, because I'm telling this journey in order, one chapter at a time. And the next piece might be the one you need most. See you in the next one.